Wow. It's real guilt.
What else? I don't know what else.
What was the reason for your migration to South Africa?
My father didn't have a profession. He was, you know, the Jews that couldn't go to high schools or universities. It was all forbidden to them. The only thing they could do was trade. And in Lithuania, my father was an egg candler. Do you know what that is?
What's that?
He worked for a company that bought and sold eggs. There was a globe, and my father used to put the egg in front of the globe, make sure that the egg was all right, that the eggs were all okay. And that was the way he earned a living. But now, my grandmother, the same grandmother I'm talking about, had 3 brothers who came to South Africa before the Boer War. That was in 1899. And my grandfather also went to South Africa in 1899. But he didn't like it, then he went back. But the 3 brothers, my grandmother's brothers, remained in South Africa. Couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't speak English, and made a fortune. How? Selling horses and mules to the British government. It was the Boer War, 1899 to 1902. And they sold these horses and mules to the British government. And that's how they made their money. Now, some years later, in the 1920s, one of the brothers died, and he left a legacy. And in the legacy, he left £100 to each niece and nephew. So my mother was one of the nieces. I don't know if any of you knew the Covels in South Africa. The Covel, my grandmother's sister was married to a man by the name of Covel. And the Covel family and the Shefts family, my mother was a Shefts, and they all got £100 in legacy from the uncle. They took the £100 to come to South Africa. That's how we came. The £100 is what saved our lives. £100 today, John, would be $10,000 today. We lived on £5 a month that my father used to send from Lithuania to support us, my mother and 3 children. And we lived well, we were never short of food. My mother made our clothes, and we had a house that belonged to my grandfather, so we never had to pay rent. And we earned £5 a month, we could survive.
I was going to get a tripod.
And
so my father came to South Africa in 1928 on the money that was left to him in the legacy.
and how old were you at the time?
How old was I? Well, I was born in 1922.
So you're 6. Okay.
So, he comes to South Africa. He hasn't got a language, he can't speak English. He hasn't got a trade or profession. He hasn't got money because £100 was used up for transport. And he's got to make a living for himself, to send money to Lithuania every month, and to save money so that he can bring his family to South Africa. So how is he going to do it? You tell me, John. How's he going to do it?
Oh, that's in his tape.
So how did he do it?
He went to the market and bought fruit, and bought a basket, and he took the fruit and polished it up, apples, pears, plums, and made them look beautiful. And he went from door to door, knocking on the door and asking, would you like to buy some fruit? Would you like to buy? And he got orders for the fruit, and then he delivered the fruit, and he made a bit of money out of that. And when he'd earned enough money, instead of going from door to door, he got himself a horse and cart. And then when he had the horse and cart, he also started selling eggs and butter and whatever he could, you know. And that's how he earned the money to bring us to South Africa.
What was the underlying reason for going to South Africa? What was the the event that made you move? That
Well, my grandmother's brothers lived in South Africa, and they had the money, the pounds, to come to South Africa. Once they have a family to come to, and I remember my grandmother had 3 brothers. The one who died was with a legacy, and he had 2 other brothers. The other brother, his name was Herman Roux, and his wife's name was Esther. Herman Roux could not read or write English, battled to speak English, but his wife was born in England, and she was his interpreter, and she acted as his manager. She was the most wonderful, caring woman. All the nephews and nieces and everybody who came from Lithuania to South Africa were met at the ship, including me and my mother and all of us. We met at the ship, and they accommodated all the people, all the nieces and nephews, until they found work and until they could earn some money of their own. But my dad had already was earning money and living in Muizenberg, so we all went to Muizenberg. But my uncle and aunt were at the ship to meet us. And I became such good friends with Auntie Esther that she and I became such wonderful friends. I used to go to them on holidays in Paarl. I used to go to them on holidays. They had a house in Muizenberg. And all the years, until she died, we remained good friends.